What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. In this one, it's the FPL Watchlist for Game Week 2. So this is looking at players that are basically on the watchlist, i.e. keep an eye on them because either they've performed well, the stats are good, or they've got really good fixtures coming up. One of those kind of things, and I'll either be looking to bring them in straight away, maybe in a week or two, maybe in the 2 or 3 weeks, whatever it might be. There are a few players that I want to keep my eye on, right? So I'll be doing this series throughout the season. So if you enjoy it, give it a like, keep hitting that subscribe button, and let's jump into it. Heung-Min Son, he has to be on there. Over the last 2 seasons, I've had him in my team up until pretty much the last minute, and both times I've taken him out. Last season it was Christian Pulisic, he got injured. This time it was for Mahrez, who had a great chance in the first half, put it wide, and then Son goes and scores. I'm not too concerned about this game week, or the game week just gone in game week 1, because they played Man City, right? He only had one shot in the box. Yes, Spurs played pretty well, but I don't think they kind of, dominated Man City or anything like that. He scored. We know he's a clinical finisher. I'm not taking anything away from him. It's why I was so interested in him. But those things happen. Mahrez puts that chance away, and I'm not so worried about game week 1. But looking forward, the fixtures are pretty good for the next 3 weeks. So Wolves away, Watford at home, Palace away. Potentially a captain option in either game week 3 or 4. The only thing to kind of, I guess, think about if you're looking to bring him in, this is something that I'm thinking about obviously as well, is Chelsea at home and Arsenal away, 2 fairly difficult fixtures, but at 10 million he does give you a bit of kind of leeway to potentially go for a different big hitter. Obviously it's going to be hard to go from Son and a striker to Lukaku and a cheaper midfielder because obviously Lukaku's a bit more expensive at 11.5 million, but that is something that I'm thinking about. If I bring him in, how easily can I go back to another player later on? So it could be a Sancho, it could be a Havertz when their fixtures turns, whatever it might be, and also you get him for captaincy as well. It's not really a concern I have about him because I don't have too many concerns, right? This is a very consistent player, and I've said all along in pre-season I have no concerns about Harry Kane. If Harry Kane stays, which I don't think he's going to, but if he does, then I think Son's a great option. And if Kane goes, he's arguably an even better one because he'll be on penalties and playing that central striker role. He's on all set pieces as well. The Man City game was kind of tailor-made for Spurs. They had Bergwijn on the left, so I think it was Bergwijn on the left, Son in the middle, and then Moura on the right. So 3 players that like to run with the ball, can carry it, can play on the counter, lots of pace. And that was always going to work, not necessarily to win the game, but it was always going to be a strategy to employ against Man City. We've seen that a lot of times in the past under different managers because they know that Man City are going to have a lot of ball. And when they get the ball, they can transition into a counter. Wolves away, Watford at home, Palace away. They are not going to come out and play most of those teams. Spurs are going to have a lot of the ball. Who is going to be creating these chances? Can they work something out of nothing? Last year, we saw a lot of the time Kane would grab the ball, he would make the pass, Son would run onto it, etc. Goal. We saw that a lot. If Kane's not there, right, and I don't have too many concerns about Son over the course of the season, but if I had one minor thing to think about is who's going to create those chances against Wolves when maybe Spurs have got a lot more of the ball. And that is why, as much as yesterday on Sunday and Saturday, I'm thinking, why did I not just buy Son? I'm maybe thinking I can probably get away with it until game week 3, until game week 4, and then reassess because we have only had one game week, right? It's important not to make too many rash decisions and changes. So I would like to have him in my team for Wolves away. If you've got him, you're absolutely laughing. But I think for me, it'd probably be a game week 3 one. But I'm not even too concerned about the fixtures if I do end up keeping him because Chelsea's tough, but I don't think Arsenal's too bad for someone like Son. Mason Greenwood definitely caught the eye. I think it's quite interesting when you use stats and you use eye tests like together because after watching that Leeds game, I thought Greenwood was brilliant. There was a few times when he could have been played in, wasn't necessarily. Obviously, he took his goal really well. And then you look at the stats in that one game, and it really is important not to make too many kind of decisions based on one games week's worth of data. But still, it's interesting to look at. He only actually had one shot in the box. So for how good he looked and how well he linked up with Pogba and Fernandes and co, he only actually had one shot in the box, right? Which I think was his goal. I don't think that was from outside the box. And that was it. So he scored from one. The biggest question mark for me, I'm not really worried about that because I thought he played well, and if he's going to play number 9, he's going to get chances moving forward. He likes to shoot as well. I guess the only concern for him is his minutes, right? And again, we've got that international break between game week 3 and 4, which we really need to keep reminding ourselves of because that gives the players a chance to kind of get up to fitness, maybe to recover if they're coming back from an injury or if they're late back, whatever it might be. The one thing with him right now is I think Cavani is the issue because he's playing up front. right? He lined up up front. Pogba was on the left, although he came in a lot centrally. And then Dan James was on the right. So straight away, I'm thinking, okay, next game, Sancho comes in, Dan James goes out, Pogba continues on the left, Martial stays on the bench because he was back late, and Greenwood did nothing wrong up front. And Cavani, as far as I know, is not even back training yet with Man United. So I think for the next 2 weeks, Southampton away and Wolves away, bearing in mind I've got a Gundogan-shaped hole potentially in my team, then Greenwood could be the one. And if he makes game week 4 as well, then we've got Newcastle at home. One thing that could happen is Cavani comes in, Sancho goes to the left, and Greenwood goes to the right. I've seen that talked about a lot. And then Pogba and Fernandes potentially play as kind of 2 number 8s with someone like McTominay behind. I'm just not sure that is going to happen. I think what will happen is Greenwood will just start to get rotated quite a bit when Cavani's fit and when Sancho's starting as well. So I don't think you can leave Pogba out. And I don't think in the majority of matches Solskjaer is comfortable not having a double pivot, so not having Fred and McTominay. As much as people hate it, I'm just not convinced about this move to a 4-3-3. So I think Greenwood looks really good for the next couple of fixtures. Southampton away, Wolves away. I think he's going to play up front. I think the only attacking change we'll probably see in the next game is Sancho to come in for Dan James. I think Pogba has to play on the left. Pogba's not on this watch list for me because I think there is a chance that he plays deeper in a lot of games. I think 4 assists in one game is just absolutely crazy. He'll never do that again probably in his whole Man United career. And he played really well, and he was able to come off that wing, come centrally, let Fernandes go forward, and that's kind of where a lot of the goals happened. But Pogba's just, for me, I need to see a little bit more from him. We know he's a great player, right? He's going to create these chances, but I don't know if he can consistently tick over points. That's why he's not on the watch list. Whereas I think Greenwood, one goal, I think he is capable of going a little bit better. And Southampton, Wolves and Newcastle are perfect fixtures for that. It's just a case of when will Cavani be back and when will Martial be up to full fitness. So you might think I'm a little bit crazy with this one, right? Brentford beat Arsenal 2-0 and suddenly I'm still looking at an Arsenal defender, but Tierney is definitely someone that I considered a lot through pre-season. I think ultimately game week 2 and 3 probably put me off, and they still will, right? I'm not looking to bring him in now, that's absolutely 100%, but he's definitely added to the watch list after watching that Brentford game. He was so attacking, and from game week 4 onwards, Arsenal's fixtures are pretty damn good. Like, even with Spurs at home, he's the kind of player that you could play in that fixture. I'm a little bit worried about Chelsea and Man City for sure, because obviously they're so good. Lukaku's going to be there as well. And obviously Ben White didn't have a great game. I did think Tony in general just bullied the Arsenal defence quite a lot. And it was his first game for Arsenal, Ben White. So maybe they'll improve. It's going to be difficult to do that for Chelsea and Man City, but the fixtures are there for the clean sheets. And if they get clean sheets and Tierney can get attacking returns as well, we're potentially looking at some big scores for only 5 million. And there's a few other defenders at 5 million as well, like Reguilon, for example, that you could move kind of onto later on when the fixtures get better. Looking at the attacking numbers, like, he had 2 shots in the box. That's the same as Son and Greenwood combined. And he also created 6 chances along the way as well. And one thing I do like about Arsenal, which probably has been overlooked a little bit, is they're not in Europe, right? So, yeah, okay, we can laugh. They're not in Europe. They didn't do very well last year, but it can be a big plus in the Premier League just having to play week to week. Obviously, there's times when there's multiple Premier League games in a row where you play like every 3 days over Christmas. But generally, that's going to be a big boost for Arsenal not having to play Europe in midweek. Now, obviously, it doesn't matter at the start of the season, but when we start getting to like game week 5, 6, 7, when European matches start, I do think it will be a big help. So really good fixtures from game week 4. Really great price. Like, I don't see, unless he goes mad and gets like a 15 or an 18 pointer against Chelsea or Man City, I don't think his price is going to go up. So 5 million, he is firmly on the watch list. He's so attacking. If he can stay fit and Arsenal can kind of get their maybe defensive instability from Brentford out of the way over the next couple of matches, which will be difficult, I'm definitely eyeing them up from game week 4 onwards. I'm a little bit gutted about Calvert-Lewin, I'll be honest, because last season I was on him. He wasn't massively owned at the start of the season, got a lot of stick for putting him in the team. He nailed it in game week 1, scoring against Spurs. Then in game week 2, he got a hat-trick. And this season, he was in my first draft, and I kind of forgot about him as pre-season went on, and then he didn't play any pre-season minutes. We didn't even know if he was going to be available for game week 1, so I kind of just didn't go for him, right? And to be fair, I'm not saying that I would have selected him if I knew he was starting, because I kind of got hooked on Salah, Fernandes and Son, or Salah, Fernandes and Mahrez as an option, and it was difficult to fit in Calvert-Lewin as well. But around that £8 million price point, you've got Ings, you've got Calvert-Lewin, you've got Bamford, and I haven't really got a great way of getting there to get any of those players. So that is playing on my mind. And Calvert-Lewin Calvert-Lewin's fixtures are so good. He had 5 shots in the box against Southampton, didn't create any chances, but we know that's not what he's in the team for. His expected goals are super high because obviously his goal was from pretty much point-blank range, diving header. And the fixtures are just good for a while. So Leeds, Brighton, Burnley, Villa and Norwich all to come up until game week 6. And I do think, like, I'm not really too concerned about Benitez with Calvert-Lewin because I just think Calvert-Lewin is so good. It's not that I think Benitez is going to turn them into this defensive side and they're not going to create chances. I just think Calvert-Lewin is just going to help himself get those chances. His movement's good. He's going to get into the right positions. And obviously from game week 7 onwards, we can reassess. But he is someone that if kind of injuries didn't go my way, like I've already got Gundogan, who I've mentioned might be missing, then putting that extra money into attack is not necessarily something that I'm completely against doing. And I think Calvert-Lewin, like I said, will just continue. And his ownership's pretty low, 12%. And then when you want to move off him, there's Bamford there, there's Danny Ings there. You can go down to a 7.5 like Wilson. You can go down to a 6 like Adam Armstrong, someone like that. There's lots of options up front. And I've only got 2 players right there now playing a 3-5-2. And I'm wondering if I should move to a 3-4-3. So I've got my eye on Calvert-Lewin. I don't think Leeds will get as battered as they did against Man United. But I think Calvert-Lewin is always good for a goal or two. And these fixtures are looking brilliant. So he's firmly on the watch list. I'm just not sure how easily I can move to him. I've got to be honest, I was a little bit worried when Sarr scored because I did really properly think about getting him in that £6 million spot, and in the end I went for Ben Rahman. Obviously we know Ben Rahman did really well, so not too much panic right now, but again definitely someone that I've got my eye on. So I think I can get away with probably not having him for Brighton or Spurs, but I'm already thinking in my head, right, what if I move this player to this one and I need to get a cheap midfielder instead? So for example, the Son move that I talked about, if I bring him in, it's not to bring him in forever necessarily. I might keep him all season, you never know, but at some point I might move him down to like a Sarr. So that's 4 million saved, and then put that money up front. Maybe it is Lukaku, maybe it is Kane, whatever it might be. And I'm not saying I can do that in 2 moves, but I'm just thinking ahead to players like this. And I think you can probably get away with him for Brighton away and Spurs away, because realistically the Villa defence was not very good last year. That's why I didn't go for any of them, like Martinez, Target, etc. We'll see in the next couple of games what they do, but I'm not really too concerned about not covering their defence. And that's why I think Watford did so well. Obviously, it was an open day in front of their own fans as well. Brighton and Spurs are going to be a lot more difficult. But Wolves, Norwich, Newcastle, Leeds, really good fixtures. And again, we saw him. He played 90 minutes. While he's at Watford, he's going to do that week in, week out. They don't have Europe or anything like that to contend with. 2 shots in the box, 4 chances created. He absolutely tore Target apart. And I think he's got the potential to do that against most of the left-backs in the league as well. We've seen him do it against some of the best last time he was in the league. So he's definitely on the watch list. 6 million, only 3.9% owned. I'm not really too worried about Ben Rama in particular for the straight swap just yet, because obviously he played so well in the end yesterday. But obviously if Lingard signs, then suddenly Ben Rama is a problem. So it's not just necessarily about moving money from a high-priced midfielder to a low-priced one like Sarr. It's also having that out from Ben Rama to Sarr as well. But I thought he looked really good against Villa. Again, I'm not basing too much on one game week because I don't think Villa defence is that good anyway. And obviously they're missing Grealish. They're trying to put a new attack together, new formations and stuff like that. But it was promising. Let's see how he does against Brighton and Spurs, and then we're properly looking at him. There we go. That is it for this one. Let me know below what you think about these players. Which players have you added onto your watch list? Who have I missed out? Who should I be looking at? Just remember, this is my personal watch list, right? So any players that I already own, I'm not looking at. So I've got Mahrez. I'm not looking at him for Norwich. He's already in my team. Happy days. If you enjoyed it, give it a like. Keep hitting that subscribe button. We're well on our way to 250k. And if you haven't already checked out Patreon, there is a link in the description below. Big shout out to Anthony N, Justin W, Simon C, and Shay Y, who have all signed up since I did the stream yesterday. I'm going to get back to everyone today with all the info for like Slack access and stuff like that. Anything that you want to see with Patreon, like what's on offer, there is a link in the description below. So make sure you check that out. Thank you for watching. I'll probably be back tomorrow for another video. There's going to be a lot this week, obviously all the way through to the deadline, but I might do a couple of extra videos. I haven't quite decided, but team selection, game week preview, transfer tips and all that stuff is all coming. So hit that subscribe button, make sure you hit the notification bell, click like as well, and I'll see you again soon.